Welcome back to the Morristown Market Report, Part 2 for today. I'm Amy Schrader with Remax Real Estate 10.
I'm Kim Swan with Union Home Mortgage.
Normally we do our market update wherever it is that we have filmed our local business on location. East Tennessee Diamond was getting some customers coming in. We didn't want to be a distraction, so we packed it up, came back to the office. So now we're going to have a little market update for you. Today we're going to talk about some multifamily housing options that are out there. But first, what can you tell us about the 30-year rate overall? Like, where are rates at right now?
They're just about the same,
No big changes.
No big changes. Again, I guess the Fed meets again on what day in July, but they meet.
I think it's the second Wednesday, maybe.
Okay, second Wednesday. So I don't know what, but right now for probably the last month, it's just about staying the same. So.
Well, that's better than going up.
That's true. That is true.
All right. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about multifamily housing. Most of the time, the stats that we give you are for single-family homes. And so when I looked up, and these stats are from last night because I didn't have time this morning to update. So last night when I looked for for the 4 counties that we talk about as the Lakeway area, Cocke, Granger, Hamlin, and Jefferson, there were only 5 multifamily properties available right now. So that kind of blows my mind because it's not been that long ago, a couple of years ago, that it seemed like it took multifamily housing forever to sell. And you always had a pretty good supply, to pick from, especially on the duplex end of things. And that's not the case anymore. So, but there are only 5 active right now. 4 of those were either, duplex, triplex, or quadplex. I think one of them was an actual apartment building that had multiple units. So, not a lot that you can choose from right now. But I did pull from the first of the year until now, we have had 12 multifamily properties that have sold in those 4 counties. Most of those have been duplexes. There's been a couple of quadplexes and a triplex. But for the whole 2022, there were 53 multifamily homes that sold.
Wow.
So that kind of tells you, if you've sold 53 in a full year, we've already sold 12. It's just because there's no inventory out there. So not only does the low inventory affect single family, but it's affecting multifamily right now as well. So what can you tell us about financing options on multifamily properties?
Gotcha. Well, it's funny that you had asked me about this earlier this morning, and we have a daily call, and that was our guest speaker talked about multifamily, and what a great opportunity it is for first-time home buyers, because they can buy it with and actually you can go THDA, so you can do it with no down payment, or do it with FHA, which is 3.5% down. If it's a duplex, you got to live in one side, rent out the other side, and basically you can cover the payment, and sometimes with certain loan programs, with a lease agreement, you can even use that rental income as income to qualify you. So if someone maybe on a single family home is capped at say $180,000, if they can find a duplex and we can use some rental income, they can go well over $200,000 possibly. So
okay, so for what you're talking about, there's a duplex for sale. One side may be vacant, the other side is occupied and has been for how long?
Well, just basically you get a lease agreement, and we normally say a 1-year lease, but obviously if someone's already in it, and they already have, it may not be a full year, but we can just take the remaining time, get a copy of that lease, and then your borrower would move into the other side. Yeah.
Okay, so that tenant doesn't necessarily have to have been in this side for a year or 6 months or anything like that to qualify on that lease agreement?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's good information to know, for sure.
Good.
So you mentioned 100% through THDA.
Mm-hmm.
So is that only on a duplex, or does it qualify for the quadplexes as well?
THDA will, and FHA as well, will all go up to 4 unit.
Okay.
Anything over 4 unit would not qualify.
That's an apartment complex.
Yes. The biggest issue with if you did a THDA, which is the no down payment, is it always has to be your primary residence. So you always have to live in one of the units. So, but let's still say that you purchase that through THDA now. 2 years from now, you decide, hey, I want to buy me another house. You can always refinance that property out of the THDA loan into an FHA, conventional, whatever, and then you would be able to rent out all 4 units if it was a quadruplex. So
okay, so on an FHA, they don't necessarily have that same limitation.
No, with FHA, basically, if you purchase through FHA, you'll sign a document that says you plan to occupy it within 60 days and you plan to live there for 12 months. Now, sometimes things change. If you're not there the full 12 months, it's not going to be the note's not going to get called due, but that's kind of the terms when you purchase with FHA. So, on our call this morning, this gentleman, he was a loan officer within my company, and he said his daughter-in-laws hated him when they first got him, when his sons married him, because he suggested their first home was a duplex. So that's what they did. They purchased duplexes. They lived in one side, rented out the other, lived there 4 or 5 years. After that, then they purchased another home, and he was stating that, the rental income now off the 2 units it definitely covers the duplex payment and pretty much makes their house payment on their new primary residence. So,
you can't beat it.
Yeah.
And the thing I think that a lot of people don't realize is, it's not the end all to live in a duplex for a year. Mm-hmm. If you're living in an apartment, it's going to be very similar because you're going to have a neighbor next door or above or whatever. But, people talk about building generational wealth in real estate. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest way to do it is to, start buying properties, not necessarily to flip, but to buy them and hold on to them, because not only are they going to appreciate in value, but you're getting rental payments each and every month. And around here, like occupancy stay at 100%. Like people have very little, you will have turnover, but you have no problem getting a new tenant to go in that.
Right.
And rents have been on the increase for the past few years. So, there's a lot of money that can be made if you start doing that now. And the great thing about FHA is you don't have to be a first-time home buyer to use an FHA product.
Right.
So you buy a duplex now, you live in it for a couple of years, turn around and use FHA to buy a 3-plex or a 4-plex. And you just keep on doing that every 3 to 4 years. Now, if you're married, your spouse may not be up for that. But, if you're a single person and, you don't care to move every few years, that's a great way to start building a rental portfolio so that you're not working until you're 70 or 80 years old. You're not relying on Social Security or some kind of retirement that nobody has anymore.
Exactly.
To survive on when you get older. So.
Well, he was saying too, it's 100% return on your money.
Yep.
And you mentioned, if you're living in an apartment, you're dealing with that. But if you own that duplex, let's say that next door is a rowdy neighbor. Well, if you're the landlord, you can, whereas if you're renting, you can't kick them out, but if you own it, then, you can calm them down and kick them out. So.
And obviously that's going to affect probably who you allow to rent the unit next to you. And I think, if I knew that my landlord was living next door, I think I might act a little different than if it was just some Joe Blow I didn't know.
No big parties, right?
Right. Like I do that so much now. But the other thing is you don't necessarily have to be your own landlord. There are property management companies out there who, for a percentage of the rental income, will take care of that for you. They'll screen your applicants. They'll take care of any maintenance issues. They handle the property management for you. So that kind of helps as well if you want to kind of remain anonymous.
Exactly.
And the renter next door not know that you're the actual property owner. That's an option you can always take. So a lot of different aspects to it, but I do think it's a great way, for people to start building real estate wealth. Because if you could buy a duplex, let's see, what was the cheapest one on here? There was a duplex in Jefferson City that sold for $150,000. So, if you can buy a duplex for $150,000, it's probably a better deal than buying a single family for $150,000 right now, because most of the single family homes that you find for $150,000 are going to need some kind of work done to them.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Definitely. Well, another thing, let's even talk to maybe someone who's not a first-time home buyer, who's just looking to purchase investment property.
Yeah.
If it's a duplex, we can do 15% down. If you start getting to 3 to 4 units, it may require 25% down. But again, look at the potential cash flow, especially on a quadruplex. Your investment and what rent is going for now. Thank goodness I don't know what those amounts are. I'll just hear people talking. I think they're expensive. So.
Yeah, I know in that new development up near the Walmart on 25E, they had like 1-bedroom studio apartment types. They offer up to like 3-bed, 2-bath with a garage and stuff. But I know the studio, I want to say it might have been 700 square feet, something like that. And it was like $950 a month. And that just blew my mind. I could not fathom that. But I also think back that, people make a lot more money. Well, not a lot more, but they make more money now, minimum wage-wise, than I did back in the day. So,
now
I think
we're telling our age now.
Well,
I think mine was $3.35 an hour when I started working.
Yeah, so. It was $3.35, and then I think it raised up. They did like a step up twice, and I think when I was in college, it went up to like $5.25 or something like that. So, but I know I rented one side of a duplex at Carson Newman. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I think we paid $300 a month for it, and it was on campus. Like, it was literally across from the men's dorm.
Right.
Ideal location, let me tell you. But I was just looking down through here at some of these prices. There was a triplex in Morristown that sold for $165,000, a duplex for $175,000, a duplex for $210,000. And then they kind of go up from there to about the $250,000 range. But I'll tell you, the last time I was showing a duplex, and that's something you've got to look at, is what is your return on investment going to be? And pre-COVID, like, people were expecting a 10% return. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be able to make 10%. And the way they're priced now, like, there's no way you're going to get that, because there's so few of the properties available, so many people are wanting to buy them, that now people are settling for like a 5 or 6% rate on investment. So it's a numbers game for sure. You just have to figure out what's going to work right for you. But if you do have money that you're wanting to invest in real estate, I would definitely look into some multifamily housing. There's some people out there who own a ton of property, and they have no idea that they could get the prices they could get today. So we can always help you as far as if this is something you're interested in, make connections with the right people so that you can find some off-market properties if that's what you're looking to do.
I know one question we always ask our guests is, what would you tell your 20-year-old self, now as I get older and maybe to possibly think about retirement, I so wish I had done some investment properties when you could afford them and find them,
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think back, I talked to Phil Levin when he was on here that week about, the first house I bought it for $70,000. And, that house is right up from my mom and dad. And, I mean, you could probably get $150,000 for it today. So, everybody's young and stupid once. But that truly is probably the best advice that anybody could give, the 21 to 30-year-old crowd right now, is don't think that it's impossible to buy real estate and start investing in it. So
definitely.
All right. Definitely. Anything else we need to know about financing aspects on multifamily?
No, I think we kind of covered it, and just the different options, and obviously if anybody's interested in just some numbers, we can always run those, for them, and let them know kind of what a payment would be based on price ranges, credit scores, things like that, and different loan options and programs. Well,
I think that was one thing we didn't touch on. If they bought it through FHA, is there a price adjustment for buying a multifamily?
Not for FHA.
Okay.
It would be through conventional speeds.
Okay. What about THDA?
THA is the same as well. So in other words, right now THA is 6%, and that can work for duplex, quadruplex. It can work for manufactured home, a single family home too.
So actually, you're going to get a better rate by buying a multifamily using THDA. So it's definitely something to think about. If you're looking at buying multifamily, give me or Kim a call. We'd love to help you out. Come back next Wednesday when we're back for another weekly market report.